Alex Shelley, the Dudleys. It has nothing to do with the talent. The talent is great. The booking is what sucks. TNA does not know how to book storylines right. TNA does not know how to sell pay-per-views. You know, TNA, they rush everything. They rush everything. You know, it's almost like TNA, it's like they're going to go out of business at the end of the month. You know, once the pay-per-view's over, the company's done. They want to get every single little thing they possibly can in a month's time. You know how many great storylines I have seen over the past year from TNA that I could have built, and they could have been 9 months long feuds? Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe could have been a feud that raged on for an entire year. You know, and even after that, you know, a couple of months down the road, you can see Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe pick up again. But, you know, the feud was so great, you would love to see it. But TNA, what they do is that they'll throw these matches right out at you. You know, they'll just say, oh, let's see, here's a main event player. Let's throw him into this match for a month, have him fight for the title, and we'll see how it progresses. You know, we'll throw a whole bunch of these ideas out. You don't do that in professional wrestling. You know, and it was evident as their buy rates came out, I believe it was last week. And from what reports that I have heard, do you want to hear what their biggest buy rate was for a pay-per-view? 37,000. 37,000! And to think these guys are competition to the WWE. WWE, where they average about 250,000 buys a pay-per-view, TNA only gets 37,000 as their biggest one. And these guys, they brag about the ratings they're getting and how hot they're getting and how it's a steady climb. TNA, it's at a plateau. You're not going to get any higher. Once TNA hits a 2.0, then I'll be impressed. But from now on, I'm not impressed. I'll tell you the truth, I can't sit down and watch TNA anymore. I really can't. It is so... I'm sick when I watch TNA. Because, you know, what am I? I'm a 17-year-old kid who's talking so much trash here. But guess what? I could run TNA better than what TNA's doing than what their booking team's doing over there right now. I could do it 10 times better. I guarantee you I could. A team of 5-year-olds, a team of 5-year-old Boy Scouts could run TNA better than Vince Russo and his bunch of idiots that are running around with a pen and paper in their hand, writing down matches and storylines, thinking they're going to create money and interest in the product. I mean, seriously, come on. TNA in their lowest, oh, get this, their lowest pay-per-view was 15,000. 15,000. There's no much else. I can't tell. That's about the size of my city almost that I live in. It's almost the size of my town. Of everybody in my town buying the pay-per-view. That's it. You know, I mean, WWE, they could at least, you know, look to, you know, cities like Green Bay or something like that. You want to compare whole cities, you can almost buy WWE pay-per-views monthly. And you can look at the big cities. You can look at the almost small towns in America to pick out cities that can almost buy the pay-per-view. It's amazing. It's amazing to sit there and think about the talent depth that TNA has. That the guys that are sitting there, that are stepping up their boots week in and week out, thinking that there's something that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, when there's really not. There's really nothing. Nothing rewarding is going to come from TNA, other than your exposure of Spike TV. Other than your exposure of Spike TV, there's nothing really rewarding in TNA. I mean, they started off on Fox Sports Net, and what a bad channel to be on in the first place, because all the regional stuff and all that, you know, you'd be on at random times, nobody knew when you were playing, you know, when your show's going to be playing, so you could almost have an excuse there. But when you have a 2-hour time slot every single week, you're guaranteed that slot every single week on a national cable station on Spike TV, and you can still only draw, what, around 1 million fans? It shows you how low grade these guys are. You know, WWE, they're grade A quality. TNA, they're like grade F. You know, TNA, they can't, you know, they bring in Kurt Angle, they bring in Sting, they'll bring in Christian Cage, they can bring in Kevin Nash, they can bring in Booker T. You can keep on bringing in all these big name guys, so to speak, for the professional wrestling, but guess what? The fans aren't going to care until you start getting storylines they like, And, you have some continuity in your storylines. I mean, seriously, point to a storyline. I could point to a bunch of them that have happened in the year 2007 that TNA completely dropped the ball with. Because you know why? Because 1 week the storyline's starting to build, and you finally think you have something going in TNA, and all of a sudden both those guys go in different directions the next week, and they're doing something else, and it goes to the pay-per-view. TNA, I'll tell you what, I don't even know the words really. I don't know a great thing to compare TNA with right now. I really don't. You can almost compare it into a football game, almost, okay? Where every single time you do something big and there's a big payoff for you, it's a touchdown, right? TNA are still on their first possession. Got the ball at their 1 yard line since they were starting from scratch, and they have not scored a single touchdown yet. 5 years in to TNA, not a single touchdown yet. Not a single thing that has knocked the ball out of the park, so to speak. Got the fans on their feet. Nothing has come from TNA in 5 years that can really excite you as a wrestling fan. I mean, I got excited when I saw Kurt Angle coming to TNA because I thought, wow, this guy's going to come in here, he's going to turn TNA around. But then it finally hit me. Kurt Angle's in there. World-class athlete, world-class wrestler. One of the most recognizable faces in the WWE at the time of his release. And you just think, how can that not make TNA good? But then you think about it a little more. You look at, oh my god, you look at the rest of the product, you say, oh my god, look at this. Look at what they're showing on TV. Look what they expect you to watch on TNA Wrestling every single week. And it's absolutely ridiculous. You don't want to set a time, there's only so many hours in the day, You can do so many better things than sit down for 2 hours and watch TNA. I get if you're working, but guess what? There's a replay on Saturday nights, where most people are probably off. And you know what? Not many people are watching then either. Not many people are watching TNA on Saturdays or Thursday nights. TNA got their first, got the 2 hours time slot, and I watched every single episode, even when Booker T came on, and finally I was like, you know what? I'm wasting my time here watching TNA. I would rather sit in a dark room and scratch myself instead of watching TNA. I would rather watch golf instead of TNA. That's how boring TNA has gotten. And it's always a good thing when you throw comedic things, comedy into your wrestling shows, because you got to have some kind of laughter in a wrestling show, because it can't always be serious, or you're going to be so, oh my, this show sucks, I mean, you can get good wrestling and everything, but you got to have something exciting and sometimes funny things on your wrestling show. TNA, what they do is so ridiculous, it's not even funny. It's not. What was it? AJ Styles dressing up in a reindeer suit and acting like a stinking clown? Oh, let's see, that could have worked back in 1985 when you had Bobby Heenan running around in a weasel suit, but the year in 2007, where people from that era have grown up, and children from the past decade or so have seen, funnier things than that, you're going to throw on a reindeer suit and expect that to be comedy? Expect everybody to be rolling on the floor laughing, have it be gut-busting laughter? No. It's ridiculous television, and all it does is turn fans away. I marked the date, March 4th, 2005. I marked the date down because because when it became true, I was going to commemorate it. I said TNA would overtake the WWE. Boy, was I wrong. Because TNA, they could sign up Hulk Hogan. They could bring The Rock back. And guess what? The ratings would not change whatsoever. They maybe change for 1 or 2 shows. But overall, you know what the average probably still be? A 1-0. I guarantee